My name is Cassy Summers. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. So what if every wizard has their own way, their own unique, wonderful, adventurous way of creating their extraordinary life? But you may not just have discovered your way yet. That's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to explore today in the Curious Universe, is this sense of really being the wizard in your life and discovering how things work for you that might not work the same for other people, and vice versa. So I know me growing up, I was so determined. This is after, teenage years. We don't talk about that. But when I started to become like an adult and I was adulting, I was like, okay, I have to figure out life, because I knew I wanted to create something wonderful. I knew I wanted to have something different. And I was like, I'm going to figure out how to do that. So you look at the world around you, right? So I didn't have a lot of successful people to look up to in my life. I didn't have, what I was defining as success anyways. I didn't have, happy marriages, for examples. I didn't have people that had built something from nothing to have so I didn't have really any reference points, which in some way you could be like, well, that's uninspiring. But what's actually kind of cool about that is that I had to pioneer my own way, because I didn't have those reference points, So how often are we actually wishing we could see someone's path to success and then we could follow it, and then it doesn't work out? So there were a few instances where I didn't have personal people, but I was like, okay, so how am I seeing the world doing this? How does the world seem to make money? Okay, so you have to budget. You have to you work a certain amount of hours, and then you can rise the ranks. What are the for my education level, what's the most amount of money I can make? All these factors, right? So I was trying to learn the rules of this reality. I was trying to learn the ways of this reality in order to achieve those things in my life: relationship, money, overall happiness, body stuff. And the harder I tried to do it in the ways of following the blueprint of this reality, the more I failed. And that actually is still completely true in my life right now. The more I tried to follow someone else's way, the harder I failed. And it can be so infuriating, and was a way that I would constantly go into judgment about myself. Why can't I get this right? I followed the formula. I did the thing. Why is this not giving me the result that it's supposed to give me? And or I would see some results to a degree, but then always kind of going back to zero, right? So I start getting into this whole consciousness thing at some point, and the tools that I use, the tagline is access consciousness, empowering you to know that you know. So it was the first time when I really loved that, and it hit me when I read that. I'm like, that's different. Aren't you supposed to be giving me the answers to life's secrets? So when I started to take classes and kind of become a scholar of consciousness, so to speak, I realized that more and more, it was all about me accessing my way, me accessing what I know, me accessing what's going to work for me, and me also discovering and exploring how unique I am. Like, so unique. And I'm saying this, and again, this isn't about me, this is actually about you. I'm saying this because we think we might be a little different, but mostly we're kind of the same, right? But what if we're actually completely different? What if you are the last of your kind? What if you're the last dragon of your kind? What if you're the last unicorn of your kind? The last flower, fairy, whatever of your kind? And so, yes, you could take a deer and a horse and a cow, and there's similarities, right? They, have got 4 legs and all the things, but they're so different. They're actually really so different. And then imagine it was even like 10,000 times more than that. So how is anyone's way going to work for you? And then why I bring in the wizardry, because I like magic. You know that because you've probably seen some other shows. I'd be surprised if this was your first show watching with me, and maybe it is. But I love magic. I love all things magic. And for me, that's part of like the joy of living, is to engage with the magic of the world, the magic of the earth, the magic of energy, the magic of healing, the magic of bodies, the magic of animals, the magic of, altering the weather and exploring possibilities that are so beyond this reality. So I went from kind of like this girl, and I would say girl, even though I was 30 at the time. Okay. So this girl who hated herself, who was like looking forward to the day that she got to like die of like cancer or something. Cause I thought that was like a really beautiful way to transition, just from some of the movies I watched growing up. Implants, pay attention to what you watch, guys. Side note. And I had this was like the best. I had created the best I could from the way of this reality. I worked so hard, and I did the absolute best that I could. And that was it. And that was it. And that was the way of this reality. And I just kind of accepted it. Like, this is it. And when my consciousness opened up, when I kind of had my awakening to myself and to the possibilities that I always knew were possible, but because they weren't showing up, even though I was doing all the things, it's hard to like hold faith in that, right? So when I started to change that, and I started to actually discover my way, my wizard's way of life, I went from this very small, very constricted and painful life to this extraordinary life. I was traveling the world once or twice a month. I have facilitated classes in India and London and New Orleans, and I've been to Portland, Oregon, and down in Maine and New York City. I've traveled to Rome. I've been to Brazil. I go to Costa Rica. And for me, not everyone loves travel. I love travel. For me, that was extraordinary. For me, as that girl before had like dreamed of traveling and had been once to Mexico on a very weird trip. That was it. Like, actualizing that in my life was so extraordinary. So extraordinary. I created a life where I have these 2 incredible kids that just like touch my heart every day and show me and demand of me to be more of me all the time. I created multiple like very delicious, wonderful relationships, and a business that enlivened me, that I woke up like so excited to work. Whereas before, I mean, sometimes you kind of get excited a little bit, but not like so enthusiastic that I wake up like, can't wait, I need to get ready so I can go do this stuff, you know? I created this truly extraordinary life for myself, and I had to find my way. And I learned a lot of energetic tools, like a lot of really different, unique ways of discovering how to actualize this extraordinary life. Well, then a little thing called COVID happened. We all know that COVID happened. And a lot of those things that I had in place had to change. And I evolved so much as a facilitator, as a being. My body evolved so much. There were so many gifts in that. And then so many in your face awarenesses to be had. And I had to kind of like start again. And not from zero, because I had all these tools, but from like, what is extraordinary to me now is so different than what was extraordinary a couple of years ago. And starting to look at that and go, oh, wow. So I'm asking for totally different things. I have a sense of an extraordinary that's like, even now, as I'm speaking, I'm not saying I don't believe we ever complete anything, or we're ever there. My curiosity would never even allow for such a thing. That's why this is the Curious Universe, because I'm always curiously exploring something in my life. And what I'm exploring right now for that extraordinary is beyond anything I ever before believed was possible for someone like me. And what I mean by someone like me, it's like some girl that grew up in a small hick town on the wrong side of the creek, like no money, no like, huge like backing of any sort, like just some nobody essentially. And from this reality standards, right? If you are any of those things, please don't ever think that you're nobody, because that's bullshit. But I believe that. And so the stuff I'm looking at right now, what is extraordinary to me is so far beyond these elements that I'd even created before. And now I'm like looking at, oh, wow, how exciting is it to uncover and explore the wizardly way in which I'm going to actualize this new, grander, extraordinary life. And while I'm looking at that, like the bigger things, there's things I've already actualized even within the last couple months, but 6 months, a year ago, I would say a year ago is when I started this exploration. So things are constantly evolving and actualizing. I almost see it as a garden, right? And like, oh, that like beautiful flower just bloomed. And over here, I've got some like carrots that are ready to harvest. And so this extraordinary life that I'm now in the middle of creating and actualizing is so very, very different. Yet I have these tools, and I have the knowing and the awareness of the dance that it takes, of the exploration. And I want to say dance because it is really like this, for me, this dance that you have with consciousness in the universe to actualize the extraordinary. I did not come here to have an ordinary life. I thought I did. And I tried, like I said, really hard. I tried so hard to have this ordinary, correct, perfect life. And I wanted out of it. And oh my gosh, even the life I have right now, if someone were to give me like a looking glass or a picture of the future, and someone would have said, you're going to be here in, 5 years, I wouldn't have believed it. Not even for a second. I would have been like, no way, that's not possible. but it is possible. So what would be an extraordinary life for you? And extraordinary is different for everyone. So for some people, they're like, I'm flying around on private jets, la, 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 la. For you, it might be like living in Bali and practicing yoga and waking up with the most exquisite sunrises every day and being with someone you love. Like, that might be extraordinary. For some other people, it'd be like having a body that doesn't have pain all the time. That would be extraordinary. Or like finding that person that just you love so much and you want to be around them almost all the time, but you still like your space. And but that person that really like doesn't judge you and that has such adoration and caring for you and you for them and crazy awesome sex. Let's just throw that in. It might be something else. It might be like, I've worked with people that are like, I've been trying to get pregnant for 4 years. I really want to have a baby. I want to have a family. It might be travel. It might be a business that like is making millions of dollars. It might be money. It might be like, I am getting out of poverty this year. Or maybe you're not in poverty, but you're like, I'm leveling up. Like I'm asking for so much more. My standards of living are raising. And what's your wizard way? What's your wizardly way when you're just living as if by magic? Because for me, it's just like doing it the struggle way, which I did a lot. I still sometimes do that, but I get out of it. It's not worth it for me to be here. No matter what commitments I made before I came in this lifetime, it's just not worth it for me. It's not. But the way of magic, that's worth it for me. And why is that? Why is that? Because when we're being magic, we're being us. When things are showing up in your life as if by magic, that's when you're being you. Yeah. And only in being you can you truly discover what an extraordinary life would be for you. And you bring more of that being in. So let's say, like, get a sense right now of that extraordinary life that really matches you. Not like you've seen it on the movies. That seems pretty cool, but like where like that really matches what you're asking for right now. It can change. It probably will. Mine has changed constantly. I would say every year or two, I'm like, everything needs to get bigger. Okay, so now you have a sense of this extraordinary life, and you might not have pictures for it, and that's okay. We're just looking for the energy of it. And now to actualize that in the world, you have to be more, essentially. More of your being will come forward. And that is where the magic comes in. Because like from here to here, so you're here and this is extraordinary. This is where you want to go. The only thing that this isn't here now is because there's like, you're not being this yet. Because to have anything, you have to be it. Okay. It's like, you've heard that, like, in order to receive love, you have to love yourself. Kind of like that, kind of different. If you wanted to be a millionaire, you have to be a millionaire. You have to be the energy of a millionaire. Okay. Whew. To receive and have, a body just like dripping sexualness and out of pain and full of joy of embodiment, there's something to like unlock and like, what is it to get you from here to here? Okay. Sometimes we have to unlock something. Sometimes we have to clear something. And then, so as we're going along and you're getting closer, as you're clearing and unlocking and asking questions and you're following your wizard's path, right? You're on this quest for magic. You along this way are becoming this. You're becoming it. I am going to reference a movie, I love, or a show, I love to reference. There's this show called The Magicians. It is absolutely awesome. I highly recommend it. It's super fun and quirky and silly. There's a lot of awesome stuff in it. And there's this one scene, I think it's season 2, where one of the main characters, he's become king of something, right? And he found this mythical creature and he's asking for like a solution. He's like, hey, I need blah, blah, blah for my kingdom. And then the guy's like, why do you want blah, blah, blah? And he's like, well, I want to be like, I'm trying to be a good king. Like I want to like bring this for my people. And we really need it. We really need it now. And he says to the guy, he goes, well, instead of delivering what you're asking for, I'm going to give you an incredible quest. And the guy's like, well, how long is this quest going to take? Because like, I need this now. And he said, listen, he's like, you're a good king, but in order to have what you're asking for, you need to become a great king. And the best way to do that is to go on this quest. That was like an abbreviated version, and it might not be exactly word for word, but the energy of it is this, is to have what you're asking for that is extraordinary. That means it's not ordinary. It's beyond what's ordinary for you. You're asking for something extraordinary. You're asking for something beyond what you've had before, or maybe you haven't had it in a long time and you want that or something greater. Always ask for greater, by the way. To have this extraordinary thing, you have to become the energy that matches that extraordinary, like becoming the energy of $1 million or becoming the energy of a thriving, joyful body, or becoming the energy of an orgasmic, delicious relationship. You have to go on this quest, right? And your way is going to be different than everyone else's. There is no perfect path. There are a million programs out there that are going to tell you that they have the exact formula, and I get it. And I have bought those programs too. And I've gotten some cool stuff out of it. Don't get me wrong. There's tools, there's things that you can get. But what I'm interested in is, what is your path from here to here? And do you have the tools to get from here to here? Do you have someone that can facilitate you, that can look at this individually with you and get you from here to here? Actualizing an extraordinary life. And again, I ask you, what is an extraordinary life for you? A lot of us are clouded by that. We don't even know how to answer that question because we're so clouded by the things that we bought from other people. What's extraordinary for you might be so different. Like some people, they want like the one person, like they're looking for whatever a soulmate, the one life partner. They want to have this like entwining of beings and just be like totally monogamous and become one with each other and live life off into like the sunset. And that's beautiful. Whatever you want for you is beautiful. And other people are actually, if they were to get really brutally honest, they would love like 4 different relationships, or they would love like one main partner and to have like multiple lovers in different countries and different places in the world. There's like a million variations in between those things. And some people, honestly, they just want to be single forever. And that's beautiful too. Like there is no right way. That's what I'm getting at. There's no right way to do your life, other than the way that brings joy for you, the way that makes life worth living for you. And all that magic and all that wizardry and the miracles will show up when you match what you're asking for. When you actually get clear on, this is what I'm asking for, this is the extraordinary. When you're willing to have a bigger life, everything will start to fall in place. And when you become really practice that, I guess is the word, practice that following the whispers, not the loud tugs. Those are important too, but the whispers, that is a skill worth learning, because following those whispers, those subtle little whispers will get you there so much faster and with so much more magic. It's incredible what's possible. You've probably already done this in some areas in your life, or you were like me and you'd barely done it in any area of your life until I discovered all of these. You could call them secrets, you can call them keys, you could call them tools and techniques, but really, I have been dynamically exploring these areas of consciousness for years now, like 11 years, I guess, and working with people. And the more I actualize my extraordinary, the more awareness I have of what's possible for all the people that I meet. What if your extraordinary is truly possible? And you might have had a sense of it when you were a kid, right? Like, I used to be like, oh, I should just be able to like make clouds move because I'm waving my hands at them. I should be able to walk through walls. I should be able to read people's thoughts. What if all of that is actually possible? And what you desired as a kid is probably different than what you desire now. So what is it for you? What is that extraordinary life? Now, it can be brave. It can be brave to have an extraordinary life. A lot of stuff comes up for people. The fear of losing it. The fear of succeeding. The fear of failing. Maybe you don't trust you. Maybe you have doubt that you're capable of it. I know I did. And like I said, if someone gave me a looking glass 10 years ago and said, this is where you'll be, I would have denied it. Well, hopefully you're further along than me. Hopefully you have a spark in you that somewhere you know what is possible for you. And what are you willing to have? Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it feels like a big reach, it should be, because it's got to be beyond ordinary. If it wasn't, then it's just ordinary. Everyone's got it, you know? Are you willing to go beyond the ordinary? Are you willing to have a life that you love so much? You never want it to end. You know, like those like, maybe you've been on vacation or you've been out with a friend or you meet someone new and you're just having the greatest conversation. You're like, oh, I just never want this to end. Not from fear, but from like, just like so grateful and this kind of deep receiving of the gifts of everything in that moment. Imagine your life was like that every day. Oh, I don't even want today to end. And it was just a regular Tuesday. But everything about it was so filled with extraordinary. And you were able to relish in that moment every day. It's a beautiful possibility. It's not a utopian ideal. I know, because I have it. And I'm not the only one. And even now, I know more is possible for me. And I'm going to be going on that adventure. So yes, thank you for exploring in the Curious Universe with me. I am inviting you to something beyond this podcast. I'm inviting you to join me in the Wizard's Way program. It's going to be extraordinary. We're going to, every month we'll be looking at something like slightly different as we curate your extraordinary life for you, and then actually having the tools, energetic tools, pragmatic tools, practice tools to actualize this in a way that truly works for you, not someone else's way, not the formula that I took. I don't recommend anyone going, go get married to someone that's going to gaslight you and brainwash you. Like, I wouldn't recommend my way to anyone, but it's my way. It works for me. It worked for me. Your way is going to be different. And in this program, we are going to explore that, get you clear. Get you clear on what is extraordinary to you, bring you all the tools you require to actualize it, and we get to do it together in this really fun, lively community of wizards. And what if this could be something different, so different that you've never experienced before? What if your life truly could be living as if by magic? You ask for things, you receive them, you get a sense of how to get vibrationally compatible with what you're asking for. You're going to open up receiving so that you can actually receive what you're asking for in all the areas. It's a whole package: body, money, relationship. Oh man, beauty. All the things, everything that you want to look at, it's all here. It's all available to you. If you want to go on a quest with a bunch of wildly wizards, then please join us. This is going to be a really wild, miraculous ride into an extraordinary space. And I don't think the world is ever going to be the same. Thank you for getting curious with me. I hope to see you in the next episode. Actually, hope to see you in the program, but also the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you for exploring the curious universe with me. Your curiosity matters. And what if together we could create a greater, more curious world?